Let's go first to Swindon Woman. Now, Swindon is considered a bellwether town in British politics. It often reflects national trends, and political parties have been seeking to get Swindon Woman on board for some time. Jane, in Swindon, joins me now. What do you want to hear? Might I ask, and you don't have to tell me, what has your sort of voting record been of late? Good morning, Jane.
My voting record of late, I actually did vote Tories. I just didn't want a Labour government to get in. The last disaster under Tony Blair and co, which it was great in the beginning, and I did benefit from it, I would say. You know, it took me back into education.
Right.
I became a nurse. But towards the end of their leadership, you know, and their government, it was a disaster. I looked forward to the Conservatives getting in. Mm-hmm. I did understand, which many of my colleagues didn't agree, when our wages were capped. You know, there was no money left in the pot. You know, something has to suffer. Yeah. But then under the Tory government, we didn't get a pay rise for years. And basically it priced a lot of us out of London. You know, I'm born and raised in London. Right. A lot of my colleagues were living in London. They just couldn't afford to live there anymore. So I having worked here, well, I do work in the health service. I would love to know how they're going to turn things around with the NHS. It's not throwing money at them. The NHS is on its knees. I can say that. I can give you some horror stories. I'd be afraid to say them. But yeah, there's horror stories, and it's on its knees. And where do we go? How do we fix this problem? And none of them seems to be, because Labour hasn't done any better since they've been in. I know it's only been a year. Yes. But,
has it got worse in a year, or is it still as bad as the Conservatives? Is it as bad as the Conservatives? No,
it's very bad. And can I just say, under Labour, now I was a manager, I know not to name places, I was a manager of a team in a hospice. This hospice is just brinking on the point of closing because of and this has happened to all the hospices, because of what they brought in with the national insurance last year. I know with the minimum wage, you know, rightly so, people have to be paid. That did affect our hospice. That cost us £250,000 in wages across of everybody that was on a minimum wage. The nurses never got a pay rise for 3 to 4 years, of course. They were looking back into the NHS because I don't know if you know this, but most hospices are charity run. They're not run by the NHS.
Yes.
I speak to a lot of my colleagues. They are absolutely on their knees. I received a letter the other day because I actually live in the area of my hospice. Right. And I was told in a meeting last year, being such a senior nurse, that when things get dire, we will go out to the public and we will beg them for money. And that letter came a couple of weeks ago.
Let me just ask you this last, because I've got other callers to get to. Jane, so you're crucial. You're a nurse. You work in this bellwether area. You live, and work in this bellwether area of Swindon. Should she address reform? Should she say the F word, as in Farage, or not?
Well, I mean, they can. The best of it is they argue amongst each other all day long. Like, we'll look at ours, we'll be better, and what have you. But nobody's sitting down with a big proper plan and saying this is what we're going to do. There's a lot of backbiting between each other. Oh, you know, Farage talks about the immigration. You know, then all of a sudden everybody's seen as racist because anybody wants to mention the immigration kind of word. She should just concentrate on what they're going to do for
what they're going to do. Jane, I will let you get on. Thank you. Please excuse me cutting us, because I've got others to get to. So Jane is Swindon Woman. Listening is Greg in Great Dunmow. Essex Man. Now, this was coined back in the 80s to describe a key type of swing voter who helped Margaret Thatcher's Conservative Party win, and win again. Essex becoming symbolic of that demographic change. Greg in Great Dunmow joins me now. Thanks for coming on, sir. What would you like to hear from the Conservative leader? What sort of side of the fence do you normally vote on? Good morning.
Hi, morning. I'm normally a national voter for Conservatives and locally LRA when it's local. But, if she's focusing on economy this morning, I think it's the sort of, to me, it's the second priority. Number one is immigration. Right. But it's a hot potato that they just keep passing down the line. They had ample opportunity to do something with it, and they never did. Yeah. And obviously Labour don't want anything to do with it because it's in their interest not to. So economy, yes, it's costing me £150 a week to feed my family of 4, which is astronomical and horrible. Yep. But because if they're not going to be here for the next 3 to 4 years, I don't really care what she's got to say.
Oh, Lord.
It's the problems now that is. I don't know any of their policies. I don't I don't know what she stands for, what she wants. Of course, opposition is just the opposite to everything else. But to say, we're so far down the line, it doesn't matter.
Can I ask you, should she say the F word, as in Farage? He's been mentioned ceaselessly by Ed Davey, even more by the Prime Minister and most of his cabinet. What would your advice be to the speechwriters?
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's living rent-free in her head and in Starmer's. So, yeah,
so should she ignore him this time?
Pardon?
Should she not mention Farage, perhaps, and make a break with what Davey and Sir Keir Starmer did?
I don't think it matters, Nick. I don't think anyone cares. They've let us down so much, and Labour are so bad that we're just sitting waiting for change.
Immigration, economy, says Greg. NHS, and just a plan, says Swindon Woman. Greg, thank you. Now let's go to a bloke called Nigel in Clacton. Joins me now. Morning, Nigel.
Morning. I'm actually in Swindon-on-Sea.
Well, that'll do, for the love of God. When it goes in copy, it's near enough. What would you want to hear, and can I ask which side of the street do you normally walk on voting day?
Well, I normally do vote Tory, but, everybody's worried about what Farage is saying, and everyone's addressing their words around him, either trying to make him sound wrong or not in control. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, I think you interviewers love to ask questions that the politicians don't want to answer.
Right.
And politicians are great at swerving the answer that they know we don't want to hear.
What would you want to ask Mrs. Badenoch, were you given the opportunity? What would you ask her?
I would say just answer the questions honestly.
But what question would it be, Nigel? What would the question be?
Well, I think Jane in Swindon had nailed it on the head, really. I mean, the NHS is on its knees, and it doesn't just need money thrown at it. It needs to be fixed, and you need a proper plan. What is the plan? And the same with the immigration and NHS pay and things like that. There's never an answer. It's always side-footed, and then the other parties jump on, and everyone just goes round in circles. And as Greg said, no one really believes or cares anymore because it's a bit of a circus.
F word, Farage.
Yes, say it all the time. Yes.
Why? Tell me why you think that needs to be done.
Well, I just think he's a threat, and he's saying and answering. He's the only one that really does answer. I haven't voted for Farage in the past, but apart from there was the Trump issue, he's never really swerved the question. He appears to answer it very upfront, and if he doesn't know the answer, he says we'll have to wait and see what happens. When nobody else ever does that.
So you if you were helping draft a speech, you would go on the attack of Farage.
I think she's going to have to, but I don't think anybody... And that would make her sound even worse, like she's scared of it.
OK. Lastly, you're in Clacton, but if I'm right, that's... sorry, you're in Frinton, my apologies, Frinton, but that's the Clacton constituency. If I stop 10 people outside your front door walking down the street, how would they respond to my question, how is Farage doing?
I think 50% of them would say good and 50% of them would say not, because I think 50% of them probably voted for him.
Nigel of Clacton, thank you. Well, there you have it. Essex Man, Swindon Woman, Nigel in Clacton. It's the NHS. It's some kind of a plan. It's immigration. It's the economy. It's just talking the truth. It's answering a question honestly. What do you want to hear? And, of course, also looking at the idea of the F word. Should she mention Farage, as Sir Ed Davey did, as Sir Keir Starmer did, the Health Secretary, the Chancellor, and just about every senior member of the Cabinet as well?